Clearing the fog, how stress blocks neuroplasticity and how to reclaim your mind. Soft rain falls against a window. A woman sits by her desk, hands in her hair, staring at her computer screen. She's reading the same sentence for the 5th time, and nothing is sticking. Her name is Maya, and lately, her brain feels broken. She used to be sharp, creative, unstoppable, but now her thoughts move like they're swimming through syrup. She forgets simple things. Where she put her keys, what she just read, even what she was about to say. It's not dementia. It's not laziness. It's something millions of people experience but rarely understand. Brain fog. And behind that fog lies one of the most fascinating and fixable mysteries of the human brain. This is the story of how stress hijacks neuroplasticity and how we can take our power back. When the mind becomes a storm, Maya was the kind of person who loved her routines, a cup of coffee, a morning jog, and then straight into her design work. But over the past few months, something changed. She woke up already tired. She snapped at small things. Her creativity, as once her lifeblood, had vanished. Her doctor said her blood work was fine. Her friends said she was just overworked. But Maya knew something deeper was wrong. "I feel like my brain isn't mine anymore," she said one night, tears rolling down her face. That's when she stumbled upon an article that changed everything. Stress shrinks the brain and blocks neuroplasticity. The science of the fog. To understand what was happening to Maya, we need to step into the brain's control tower, the hippocampus, prefrontal cortex, and amygdala. These 3 regions work like a symphony. The hippocampus helps you learn and form memories. The prefrontal cortex helps you focus, plan, and regulate emotions. The amygdala handles fear, stress, and survival instincts. When life gets hard, a breakup, financial pressure, or constant overwhelm, the amygdala goes into overdrive. It floods the brain with cortisol, the stress hormone designed to help us survive danger. But when cortisol stays high for too long, it weakens neural connections, especially in the hippocampus. It's like turning off the lights in your mind, and your ability to learn, remember, and think clearly fades into fog. That's why you might forget names or words, lose focus halfway through a sentence, feel numb instead of inspired. The brain isn't broken. It's protecting you from perceived threats by shutting down high-level thinking. In short, stress locks the door to neuroplasticity, the power of neuroplasticity. When the fog lifts, but here's the miracle, the brain is not a fixed machine. Even after chronic stress, trauma, or burnout, your brain has the ability to rewire and regenerate. That's what neuroplasticity is, the brain's capacity to form new neural pathways and strengthen existing ones based on what we do, feel, and focus on. Think of your brain as a living forest. Stress sets small fires. Neuroplasticity is the rain that brings it back to life. Every time you learn a new skill, change a habit, or even shift your mindset, you're reshaping your neural map. And this is where Maya's journey takes a turn. The turning point. One evening, unable to sleep, Maya found herself scrolling through a neuroscience podcast. A voice said, "Your brain doesn't heal in chaos, it heals in calm." That line stopped her cold. For months she'd been pushing harder, more caffeine, more work, more effort, but maybe the answer wasn't doing more. Maybe it was doing less. The next morning, she made a small decision. No phone for the first 30 minutes after waking up. Instead, she sat by her window, breathed deeply, and watched the sunrise. For the first time in weeks, she felt her heartbeat slow down. What she didn't know was that in that quiet moment, her brain had just triggered neurogenesis, the birth of new neurons. The science of stillness. You see, calm isn't just a mood. It's a neurological signal that tells the brain, you're safe now. You can rebuild. When stress drops, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, levels rise. BDNF is like fertilizer for your neurons. It helps them grow, connect, and form lasting memories. Meditation, deep breathing, and mindful rest don't just make you feel good. They literally switch neuroplasticity back on. Within 2 weeks of her morning rituals, Maya noticed small changes. She could focus longer. Her creativity sparked again. She remembered details she'd forgotten. Her mind was slowly coming back online. The hidden enemy, emotional stress, but there was still something blocking her progress. She realized her brain fog wasn't just from exhaustion. It was from emotional overload. Every unresolved fear, guilt or resentment was like a background app draining her brain's battery. Neuroscientists call this emotional interference. It consumes cognitive resources and keeps your brain stuck in survival mode. So Maya did something brave. She began journaling, not about her to-do list, but about her emotions. She wrote letters she'd never send. She cried. She forgave. And with every page she could almost feel her mind clearing, like wiping condensation off a window. It wasn't magic. It was neural pruning, the brain's natural process of letting go of unused or harmful connections to make space for new, healthier ones set in movement, the forgotten therapy around this time. Maya learned about another powerful way to rewire her brain: movement. Neuroscience research shows that even light exercise increases blood flow, oxygen, and neurotrophic factors that support neuroplasticity. But it wasn't about running marathons. It was about presence in motion. So she started walking after dinner. No phone, just footsteps and breath. Over time, her walks turned into meditative rhythms. She noticed colors she hadn't seen before, smells she hadn't registered, thoughts she hadn't heard clearly in months. Her fog lifted one step at a time. The more she moved, the more her brain began to grow new dendrites, the small branches that help neurons communicate. Each walk was literally rewiring her. Nutrition for the mind. Then came another realization. Maya's diet was feeding her fog. She'd been surviving on coffee, sugar and quick carbs, unaware that these foods spike cortisol and inflammation, the enemies of neuroplasticity. She swapped them for brain-friendly nutrients, omega-3s from salmon and walnuts, antioxidants from blueberries and green tea, magnesium from leafy greens within a month. Her focus sharpened dramatically. Science explains this. The brain is 60% fat, and healthy fats strengthen myelin, the protective sheath that allows faster, clearer neural communication. Her neurons weren't just firing again, they were thriving. Reconnection. The social brain. One day, a friend invited her to a small art class. At first, Maya hesitated. She'd been avoiding social interaction, drained by anxiety and shame. But something told her to go. That night, as she painted and laughed with strangers, she felt something warm flood her chest. Oxytocin, known as the bonding hormone, oxytocin lowers cortisol and enhances neuroplasticity by activating reward pathways. In that shared moment of creativity and connection, Maya's brain began weaving new emotional patterns: joy, safety, belonging. She realized healing the brain isn't a solo project. It's a collective act of connection. In the new Maya months past, her fog had lifted, her focus returned, but more importantly, her sense of self returned. When she looked back, she realized her journey wasn't just about recovery, it was about rebirth. Through mindfulness, movement, nutrition, and connection, she had rebuilt her neural network from the inside out. The same brain that once drowned in cortisol was now sculpting a new reality, one grounded in calm, clarity, and creativity. Her story became a living example of what neuroscientist Norman Doidge once said: "The brain is a living, dynamic organ, and we are its sculptors." Like us, what the science now knows, modern neuroscience has confirmed what ancient wisdom always hinted at. Your brain changes every single day, not just in childhood, but throughout your entire life. Chronic stress is like static on a radio, blocking signals between neurons. But when you reduce that stress, through sleep, mindfulness, emotional release, or human connection, you restore clarity. Your thoughts start connecting again. Memories return. Creativity blooms. In short, you wake up. 12. A message for you. If you're watching this and you've been feeling foggy, forgetful, or disconnected from yourself, you're not broken. Your brain is simply tired, defending you from too much. The fog isn't failure. It's a sign that your mind needs gentleness, not judgment. Remember, neuroplasticity doesn't happen through force. It happens through consistency, compassion, and curiosity. Every time you choose rest over rush, every time you breathe before reacting, every time you choose love over fear, your brain rewires itself. That's not poetry. That's biology. The awakening one, Year after her breakdown, Maya stood on a mountain at sunrise. She closed her eyes and smiled, remembering how lost she once felt. Now she could feel her thoughts again, crisp, alive, radiant, and in that moment she whispered to herself, "I'm not the same person I was before the fog. I'm someone new, someone I created." Her story is not unique. It's human. Because the truth is, every single one of us has the power to rewire our brain no matter how lost we feel. That's the beauty of neuroplasticity. It doesn't just heal the brain. It redefines what's possible for the human spirit.